So 1 Peter 1:5, you who are protected by God through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. Say it again, you who are protected by God through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. So this verse, upon first reading it, is something I think I said of one time in my past, and I'm going to, in my sharing, latch on this illustration of the children of Israel. There's something to celebrate in this of praising the Lord who's protecting us through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed, that he saved us from Egypt. He saved me from bondage and forgave my sins, and now I'm able to go to heaven, and that's something to be thankful for. But upon this week, reflecting on this, was kind of awakened to the fact that this isn't just a one-time salvation. Also, matching what we heard last week from sharings, this isn't one thing about me being freed, children of Israel, or me as a believer being freed from Egypt. And having my sins forgiven and going to heaven someday, but it is not, and now my salvation of being able to enter the promised land and conquer the giants, conquer the ites, the different people that are in the promised land. But I need to do that by faith. So wanted to focus on the four key sections of this of the statement here. You who are protected by God. That God is the one who's doing the protection, and it is through faith. Wanted to latch on this word faith because it was an emphasis last week as well, that it is the master secret to staying humble. Faith is the master secret to staying humble. And that was the law of faith, as Sandy mentioned, is to think with your head, believe with your heart, and confess with your mouth that God accepts us through the love of Jesus. So if I want to be protected by God through faith, I need to have faith. And how do I build that faith? It is by not only believing it with my heart, but confessing it with my mouth. Whether that's, I'm going to throw a few examples out of like sharing something through WhatsApp, patting someone on the back and encouraging them, meeting someone at work or through an action at work that testifies to the Lord's work in my life. There are many, many different things what that looks like of confessing what I believe. What I believe in my heart is making it bubbling out and coming out of my mouth and out of my actions by showing what I really believe. I can believe something without it coming out. And the question is, do you really believe it? So I think the other statement made last week, that as we confess or testify, we are saved. Romans 10:10, for with a heart a person believes, resulting in righteousness, and with the mouth he confesses, resulting in salvation. So I need to testify, I need to confess to have this. Coming back to the memory verse, we're protected by God through faith, enables this salvation, for a salvation. So I wanted to just latch on this word salvation for the last second, because it was something on the mind this week as well, that the Monday giant, what are we saved from? The Monday giant of dread. I will share something that was even shared over WhatsApp amongst the church thread this week, is like the Monday dread of, it's 8 a.m., I'm going into work, I have all this stuff to do, whatever, on our minds on the new week. It is a giant of dread. And it is, okay, what am I going to do against this giant? Do we cower in fear or despair? Even the dread leads to despair of saying, I don't know, I'm in dread and I don't want to do this. And the question is, the answer is, the Lord, you move forward and you attack the giant in faith. Because as this promise in 1 Peter 1:5, you who are protected by God through faith for salvation, and will get ready to be revealed in the last time. We have a choice. The children of Israel had a choice when they saw the giants of the land. They said we could move forward in faith. God will protect us. Or no, we should cower in fear because God won't protect us. And for those of us facing the whatever giants we have this week, it is, do you claim that the Lord, disciples don't make mistakes. The Lord has brought this into my life on purpose, and he is going to, for my good, and he's going to protect me, bringing about my salvation. Then then it changes the picture entirely. So the last thing of this verse is ready to be revealed in the last time. This doesn't mean it is the salvation happens in the last time. The salvation is happening every day. So to testify this week that the Lord provided salvation on Monday, from the Monday morning giant of dread. He provided salvation for me on Tuesday from the Tuesday afternoon giant of overwhelming despair. He provided salvation for me on Wednesday from the distraction and the seed of pride that was comes into my heart. He's providing salvation every day, and just like in war. Draw an analogy to war on this, is that the small group of 4 men take a house that had maybe a machine gun or a viewership position that was guarding a valley that now allows a large brigade to move through the valley undetected, which now allows that brigade to surprise a division and win the whole war just because of a little house being taken. But no one knows to give fame or honor or glory to the small team of 4 who just did what they were told to do and taking this little house that's turned the whole tide of some war. In that being, my conquering of the Tuesday morning giant is already forgotten even in my head or my journal, and I'm not keeping a archive of all those victories and all those salvations I've received from the Lord through my life. But what I see in a mirror dimly, as it says in 1 Corinthians 13:12, I will see clearly and face to face the greatness of my salvation every day through all of the things the Lord has brought me through for my good, to bring him glory and advance his kingdom and make me more like him. So I wanted to say this. This verse struck me. It's not just the supporting passage of 1 Peter 6, all the way 6 and through verse 9. Finishing this long phrase of explaining also, I feel like what I was explaining, but that we will see him and greatly rejoice with joy inexpressible, full of glory, obtaining as the outcome of our faith the salvation of your soul, and also other souls, as we are celebrating through our trial, through the journey the Lord has brought us on. It is the greatest evangelism in the world of showing that the Lord working through us into others, of supernatural strength and salvation through our daily battles that no one is seeing. No one's writing news articles or making movies of my Tuesday morning conquering, like the Lord saving me from my Tuesday giant. But someday in eternity, I'm going to get to see the salvation in full and have nothing but joy inexpressible for what the Lord has done for me and each of us.
Hi, family. This week I was reading through Proverbs 13, and there's a verse in Proverbs 13 that says, it's 13:4. It says, "The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the soul of the diligent is made fat." And so as I was reading this verse, I wanted to see, I don't want to be a sluggard, but it can also be easy for me to slip into complacency when I discipline myself to do nothing on my own initiative, which is what Jesus claims. He claims that he does nothing on his own initiative. So I see two extremes. I can be a sluggard, or I can take my own initiative. And Jesus did neither. Diligence lies somewhere in between. The soul of the diligent is made fat. When I'm a sluggard, I might be content with what the world has to offer and a mediocre life. When I do something without God's direction, when I take my own initiative, it's only wood, hay, and straw, which will be burned up in the last day. I can avoid the latter, building up on my own strength, but slip into complacency. Maybe I mistake laziness and comfort seeking with resting and waiting on God. I think that I'm waiting on God, but really I'm just being lazy. But then if I'm a sluggard, thinking I'm resting and waiting on God, but not actually doing what he says, I may crave change or progress in my spiritual life, but get nothing. So I wanted to think about what are safe ways for me to be diligent while staying within the boundaries that God has given me. And there were a few things that came to mind. If I'm sharing or if I'm preparing to share during a midweek group, I can come to God expectantly. That's diligence, knowing that he will tell me what to say. I remember Bobby saying once that sometimes the words only come to him after he has sat down and begins to write. God sees I have faith when I sit down and I'm ready to write. I don't need to put down empty words. He'll give me the words to say. Second, I can be diligent in faith even amidst discouragement. The faith of the Syrophoenician woman is one of the most challenging examples of diligence and faith that I can think of. She did not get discouraged when Jesus ignored her requests, and even when he told her no. She continued to believe that he would help her, and that he could help her, and that he would help her. I'm sure I would not have had the same faith, or I would not have kept asking in the same way that she did had I been in her situation. She refused to get offended by his initial response and kept pressing on in faith. Next, I can stay away from sin. I can be diligent by staying away from sin. I can remember how my heart is prone to wander, and when I have free time, ensure that I spend my time in ways that keep me safe from sin and in close fellowship with God. This might involve reading the Bible or focusing on just the most necessary tasks that I know need to be done. If I find myself straying, I can repent and trust that God, my Father, has the power to pull me back and keep me on track. Fourth, when I'm stuck doing activities that I don't feel are spiritual, I can be diligent because I know that God approves of what I'm doing, and I can be content and I can wait, even if it feels like I'm stuck doing activities I wouldn't otherwise want to do. Even if I waste more time than I'd like, I can rest knowing that he is generous and accommodating. He considers sin to be much more important than an accidental waste of time. I can rest knowing that he will take care of my need and desire to grow in closer fellowship with him. Even if all my time feels like it's being spent elsewhere, he'll make sure that my desire to grow closer to him and my need to is satisfied. So then what is the outcome of diligence? If I'm diligent, how will my soul be made fat? I see a few things that are marks of diligence. If I'm prosperous spiritually, I will be filled with the Holy Spirit. So I'll be fat in that way. My soul will be fat in that way. I will be someone whose words do not fall to the ground. I will be filled with love, ready to pour out onto others. I will have a close relationship with God. I'll be humble, and I will see God's resurrection power working in me, leading me away from the dead desires of this life and into the life of Christ. Thank you.